All right, guys, welcome back to the Discovering Podcast. My name is Brandon.
And I'm Jonathan.
Wow. Haven't changed shirts at all, huh?
1 week later, and I haven't moved.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. It's almost like we're recording ahead of time. Oh, man.
It's almost like maybe there's a holiday next week.
No.
So we gotta get 2 episodes.
Wonder. Huh. Fascinating.
Well, that's
neither here nor there.
Exactly. Just ignore the fact we haven't changed clothes. We're definitely recording on a different day.
Or are we? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, we're continuing our creation series. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought you were just gonna keep going, but you're looking at me like, are we?
Are we continuing our creation series? So without further ado, I should probably pray us in.
Yep, you can pray us in, and then we'll go to the second day of creation. Woohoo!
I don't really know what we're gonna talk about. I know second day of creation, but I legitimately, it's a bit of a doozy.
Hey, you know what? This is why we do what we do. We just ramble on and talk, and hopefully something happens.
Well, I'm gonna pray us in, and we'll get started. Dear Lord, I just thank you for this time to be able to talk about creation, dive into this discussion, Lord. Just thank you for that opportunity. God, we just pray that as we engage in this discussion, that you lead it, and that anything that's not from you, Lord, falls to the ground and is forgotten. Lord, we pray that you bless this. Bless this discussion. Amen.
Amen.
All right, hit the bumper before I lose it.
All right, let's get to the bumper and let's get into it.
All of Genesis 1. Sorry, out of context.
Sorry, we were looking at our phones and it's like, oh, intro's done.
Yeah.
So just reread Genesis 1, 6 through 8. Day 2.
That was a beautiful transition.
Bang. Transition. I know. We're doing
like
excellent.
We just need the bumper to go a couple seconds longer so that we can...
It's like, got it. Get it. Good.
All right. And God said, let there be a vault between the waters to separate water from water. So God made the vault and separated the water under the vault from the water above it. And it was so... You good?
You just... And the water. We talked about this last week. Or, well, today for us. But repetition. Anyway, keep going.
Now I know. Verse 8. God called the vault sky, and there was evening and there was morning the second day. So you know what stood out to me the most?
Water.
The repetition. And I have a feeling it has to do with an oral tradition. All right, no. In all seriousness, I know I mentioned it. Actually, okay, I'm already going. Are we starting with science?
Yes. But you can start with whatever you want, and we can go in the direction it goes.
No, let's start with science before I... You lead, I follow. I don't know why I'm leading. I don't know what we're talking about.
Hey, you could go... I mean, in all fairness, I don't know what we're talking about because it's so repetitive, but it uses the same wording like over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, I got water and vault out of that.
And in other translations, vault is firmament.
which is
Also
also a
known-
really cool word. I mean, they're cool words.
which means basically space and atmosphere.
yeah,
So basically, you have water, space, water. And water is on the earth here. Water is there in space. Kind of.
whoa,
Oh.
vault.
Well, the vault is
Yeah.
the space
The vault is the space or the firmament.
or the firmament.
But then you got water, vault, water.
It's the water outside of space
yeah,
that confuses me.
yeah. Like, what were they going for with that? Like, what was? Are they talking about like rain? I don't know.
Well,
Because okay,
And
I understand like this was written before like a lot of the science was known. So like,
well,
what does it mean?
that is a fair point. That
So,
is
like,
a fair point.
What do they mean by the water above the space?
But also, there's another aspect, and this is outside of the first chapter of Genesis. It didn't rain until the flood.
As far as we know.
As far as we know, according to
I would assume
the-
there would have been rain somewhere.
the creation narrative. But as far as we know, at least according to those narratives, it didn't rain until then. When the
At least-
vaults of the deep and the vaults in the sky burst forth.
I get what you're saying, but I've always been under the assumption that just because it's not written, it would still,
Well,
Hey.
yeah, and that comes with our own culture and our
Yeah.
own understanding
Sure,
of
sure.
things.
Yeah.
So it's really confusing from a scientific standpoint because
And
you're
I'm
like,
not a science guy, and so I'm usually confused by the science, but I'm even more confused because I know it doesn't make sense with the science. It doesn't make sense with the science I already don't understand.
now, sure, I could be interpretive with, oh well, the science, there's hydrogen molecules, and
But the people of the
oxygen
time
that-
wouldn't have known any of that.
No, they wouldn't have known any of
Which
that.
is why my first thought is like rain. But again, I don't know. I mean,
Well, but it's like almost. And what I'm gonna go through for this science discussion here, it's subjective. I'm grasping at straws, if I'm gonna be completely honest. Because there's not a whole lot to really go off of besides, okay, he created space,
Yep.
the atmosphere, and the separation of the waters, for whatever that means.
Okay. Well, okay. This is
I
just-
have an idea, which is what I'm going to be going into.
well-
But what's your thought?
Could the water? Okay, this is gonna be so out of pocket, and it seems kind of wild, but it's just a thought that like.
Let's see if you get the same thing I had. Well, you could have read it, but I don't know.
Well, no, I haven't really read the doc, so and this seems so out of pocket and a little strange. But could the water be like just like the darkness of the unknown, the whatever lies beyond the sky that they wouldn't have known? Like I don't know. I'm trying to like figure out what they could mean by the water above the sky.
Well, keep in mind, this is a story that happens after creation.
Mm-hmm.
So they're trying to explain things that came into being before
Yeah.
creation. So one theory I have is, well, how did they view that the stars and everything were in place? Were they floating on top of some water?
Well, and that's kind of what I mean. is it
Something like that. I don't know. I come from a science background. I know what's in space.
Yeah.
It is not water.
Right, and it's definitely a challenge because to kind of put yourself in the context of what the people of the time would have been thinking, because we know what it is.
And just like, I mean, go back to Galileo, where he's like, yo, the Earth isn't the center of the universe, guys.
Bum bum bum.
And then he was, hated on by everybody else around him, the scientists, whatever. But that's just something he observed. Just like, guess what? The people of that time would have thought the Earth was in the center of the universe because everything was rotating around it, or so they looked at it.
Yeah.
So some of these things could have been that, I don't know, or it's just an unscientific way of saying something else.
Yep.
Who knows?
Okay, what's the science?
Okay. So,
Doctor.
doctor. I'm not a doctor. Master. Yes, sensei. Yes, sensei. So, question. What makes up the atmosphere?
I can't do this today. I'm not
come
I'm not
on,
a
come
science guy.
on.
Brandon, a lot of the science that I should know is out the window. I don't do science.
You're not going to like the scientific discussions for a lot of
will
these days.
not. You can't ask me science questions or math questions.
So, what makes up the atmosphere from what we know today? So, in our own atmosphere, over 90% of it nitrogen gas. What other parts of the atmosphere are there? You have carbon dioxide, oxygen, you have ozone, O2, and you have water vapor. Water vapor. Water. Interesting. I know it's my favorite word on this podcast. And this, again, is kind of my theory a little bit when it comes to water in the air. Humidity, water vapor, something like that. So, let's go down into what I got a degree in, geology. Let's go to the geologic time scale.
Okay. Don't ask me any questions on it, 'cause I don't know.
So, obviously, this is a SparkNote version. I'm not going super in detail. It's going to seem like I go into detail, but trust me, it's not. So, during the early years of Earth's formation, according to geology and the geologic timescale, so with water on it, the earliest time would have been a time during the Precambrian, which covers a span of about 90% of Earth's history. Obviously, well, not obviously, but before that was the Hadean era, whatever, of the Earth. That's when meteor impacts, everything like that. It's when the moon actually crashed into the Earth, causing it to be in rotation with us today. Happened during the infancy of Earth when it was still molten, all that stuff. Then it cooled, started forming a crust, started coming together, all that kind of thing. And then had water eventually on it. Now, at this time and up until the middle of the Devonian period, the Earth was largely covered in water, which was around 95%. So 95% of the Earth was water. Water. And was extremely humid. So water vapor, super, super high. With the Cretaceous being the closest we have gotten to the highest humidity of the Earth since. Now bear in mind, there's no ice here on the Earth. It's covered in water. Keep that in mind for later. There's a couple of places that isn't water, but for the most part, the whole world is covered in water. Now, again, going back to this thing, there's still no sun, there's still no moon, nothing like that. So, without sunlight, weather does not happen as we know it. There's nothing to cause wind. There's nothing to cause some of these different phenomena when we associate it with weather. However, some things can still happen because it's forming that gap. It's putting stuff in the atmosphere. atmosphere, doing things like that. So it can create an atmosphere. So things that can happen during this time, you have lava from the earth, like volcanic eruptions. Things are spewing into the atmosphere, and lava's kind of, coming out, making land. You have thunder and lightning, which can come from the particles, different charging of ions and different things like that. Often with these volcanic eruptions. If you don't get them in storms, you would get them in volcanic storms, if you want to call it. And then with the earth moving and groaning and tectonics and everything going on during relatively young years of Earth, where it would have been a lot more active, you would get tsunamis, earthquakes, some of these other phenomena that would still happen. Weather in and of itself still would be in the infancy. Like there wouldn't really be weather. Wind is another thing entirely, because you have solar wind, but at the same time, if you don't have the sun, you really can't have solar wind. That's where the science and the story come a little bit differently. But anyway, SparkNote version, that's the science. Some stuff behind it. Some of it makes sense. Again. And this kind of borrows to the theological biblical discussion that I have in relation to the vault of the sky and the deep to the flood in Genesis 6, the flood narrative, where they were both open and then it rained for 40 days, 40 nights. The vault of the deep had a bunch of water coming out too. So what does that mean? Well, to me, the vault of the sky, maybe it's the early representation of, that's the water vapor. I don't know. And then it just rained a lot. And then everything was wet. Water, 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 water. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of grasping at straw. I don't really know. I'm too far out of the context. All I know is water is repeated an awful lot, and vault's repeated an awful lot. There's a separation, and then there's water. And that separation is significant because it's repeated several times, and that's the day. So, I made a little tracker of how many times water is mentioned in the Bible. So, God is often associated with water a lot in parables and different things like that. Water is a significant thing. So even not just biblically, but in other religions as well, water is viewed highly.
Yeah.
As well, it's also one of the biggest building blocks of life. You kind of need water to live. Everything pretty much needs water to live. So water is crucial, but at the same time, it could be a double-edged sword. Mm-hmm. Whereas it also kind of leans into the chaos a little bit, where too much water, storms, tumultuous, everything like that can throw everything into disarray. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, water is a sustaining source. Like Jesus refers to himself as the living water. Mm-hmm. Something that's nourishing, strengthening, gives life, as opposed to, say, a water that brings about tumultuousness, chaos, and death. Destruction. Which, when you think of a flood, you don't typically think of good. No. And most times for the ancient people, it's not good. It's thought about that in a ways of destruction, because it's like, yeah, you done messed up, Ron. And bada bing, bada boom, nobody had sea-doos. But yeah, so water's important. Appears 722 times in the Bible. And that appears more than faith, hope, and prayer in worship. So water's important. You have the baptism discussion. So you have new life. There's new life that comes from water, a wellspring.
Mhm.
But at the same time, you die through water as well. So again, there's this duality of water. And again, you have this separation of the water, of the vault is separating the
Mhm.
water that's below and the water that's above. And again, if we kind of want to go back to the spirituality sense that we talked about before, what does this mean? Is this the chaos waters the below and the more inlined and aligned thing above? Or what is it? I don't honestly know. I'm just making making conversation, talking about things. I'm no expert. I don't have the answers.
Yeah.
But for any of you watching online, think of things yourself. I mean, take a look at different things. What do, let's say, the rabbinic people say? What do other religions say? Different things like that. Like, I don't know. And that's kind of why I think we're going to be doing this series, is because why not look at everything?
See what it is.
Obviously, we're only human. We're not going to be able to get everything in every small detail. That'll take way too long, and we don't really have the time for that. I mean, we do have time, but not like time.
Time.
Time. Uh, yeah. So what I did is I linked the, and this is gonna sound weird because I'm again linking it to the flood a little bit. So baptism is rebirth. The waters rush over and the waters bring new life. Such is the same with the flood.
Mhm.
Whereas you're getting rid of the old and bringing in the new,
Mhm.
where you have the olive branch, the dove, different
Yeah.
things coming to life. And basically starting afresh, starting over. Another thing that I have on here is what's this relation to sky and water vapor, or sky and water, the vault, the water. Like, what's that connection spiritually, you think?
I'm sorry. See, there was a lot of water just mentioned. What do you? What?
Well, I don't really know. I probably phrased it terribly. But
like, what's the vault and the water and the water and the water and the vault and the sky and the water? What does that mean?
Isn't that the whole? That's the whole day. So
I'm pretty
what's
sure
the
it's...
relation to the sky and water vapor with a spiritual sense to it? If we're talking in terms of this is still a spiritual thing instead of the physical.
The water and the sky.
The separation between, like, what's the relation to them? We talked about it scientifically. Now, what is it in terms of theology? And yes, they're big questions. And yes, they're hard to answer.
Yeah. Hey, go dip, Sherlock. Again, it goes... I don't know. I feel like I'm going to be grasping at straws, but I would... The only thing that comes to mind is, like... And it's not even a word that's mentioned, but it's a word that I like, so I'm going to use it because it's a cool word. But the Empyrean, the heavens, and that's the only thing that can come to mind, at least in the sense of the spiritual sense, is the heavens, And I like, again,
Yeah.
I might be
And in
grasping at straws.
different translations, like sky is mentioned as the heavens, like in heaven. But I'm gonna go back to Genesis 1, verse 2. Now the earth was formless and empty, darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters.
Mhm.
This connection, I think, between sky, space, heavens, and the water is that God is in between. He kind of connects both.
Okay.
So if you want to connect the water to the water, in a way.
The water.
It's confusing.
No.
I understand.
No, I know, it's just- I feel like we're gonna say water 722 times before this episode's done.
Honestly, for those tracking, keep a track of how many times we said water.
Yeah. I want to know how many times we said water. I could really use a drink of water. All right, I'm done. saying
Bottle of water.
No
So-
water for you.
So something I also put in here as well, in relation to that distance, is the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit is all around us,
Mhm.
even if we're unaware of its presence. Kind of just like that space, that vault. But it also hovers over those waters.
Right.
It kind of goes with. It's hard to describe. That's why it's difficult. And then going back to kind of the duality of water again, is I thought of the river Styx, which is used in Greek mythology as a transporting a stream that leads to Hades or death, and has a connotation of, well, death. Whereas God is that stream of living water that conquers death.
Mhm.
That the different viewpoints of water in that way. Anyway, this might be a shorter episode because, yeah, vault and water,
Water and vaults,
and that was day 2,
and it was good.
and it was good. What was good? That's a great question.
Probably the vault in the water.
Yeah, I think so. Anyway, I can't think of anything else to say. Can you?
No. Unless you want to talk about the water again.
With that,
We should probably end this episode
yep.
before we drown in all the water. All right, bye guys.
All right. Take care. We'll catch you next time.